We are grateful to be together today with common purpose. The common purpose of serving our nation and the people who we call Cherokee. Please be with us in all that we do. Watch after us, guide us, and direct us. And help us to always do as you would have us do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Shelly, can we do roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Rex Jordan. Here. E.O. Smith.
Here.
Keith Austin.
Here.
Danny Callison.
Here.
Julia Coates.
Here.
Sean Crittenden.
Here.
Joe Deere. Mike Dobbins.
Here.
Johnny Kidwell.
Here.
Daryl Legg.
Here.
Wes Snowfire. Dora Petskowski. Here. Joshua Sam. Mike Shambaugh. Here. Melvina Shotpouch. Condessa Teehee. Victoria Vasquez. We have a quorum.
All right. Can I get an approval of minutes, please? Second. All right. Reports. Management Resources, David Moore, please.
Good afternoon. Good to see everybody here today. You have a copy of our report. I'll try to answer any questions. I did hear y'all talk about the event today. That was, what a day to be Cherokee, man. That was awesome. It's just a privilege that we got to witness that, I feel like. So, but if y'all got any questions, I'll try my best to answer them, or I'll get y'all the answer.
Sean?
Hey, Dave, you still, on the processing plant, you still have something to do with that?
No, sir.
Who is that?
That's been turned over to C&B.
C&B?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, they're running it as a business.
okay, and they can give us the details?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
Councilman Deere?
The Pine Tree, no, I'm just, hey, the Catoosa Tag Agency, that part of it, we've got it blocked off. What's the intention for the second half of that area?
I really don't have any knowledge of what we're going to do in the future there. I mean, it's just ear tag for the future. I do that all the time. But it's just that. No.
He's looking at parking lot installation. Well, I saw they quit the paving at a certain point and then moved the rocks, and
Yes.
I assume they got the AV and everything's going as scheduled. Do you have the opening or transition day?
Not yet, not in stone. We're still messing with that water line. You know, that was a big deal. We had to hammer the whole line, so we're still messing with issues with that, but we're real close. The building's 99% finished. We just need to get that water line hooked in and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, there was a blow off, so I saw that, but yeah, I was wanting to know what that status was on there, because it looks pretty close.
Yes, it is, it is. So, I mean, if we had the water in there, we could open in a couple of weeks if Sharon had all her equipment in.
Okay, all right, thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Thanks, Chair.
I apologize, sir, for my lack of technology to get the deal shut off. So
That happens
my
to-
apologies.
No worries, that happens to me all the time. I have that same worry about it happening during a meeting.
Councilman Dobbins?
David, how realistic is the August completion date for Three Rivers? Is it realistic? Is it going to happen August?
With health on that project has been managed by health.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just try to keep it updated in here through my monthly, and it's a month behind on these are on my end, so I'll have to get you an update.
Any closer on the walking trail?
We should have them by midsummer, the construction documents ready to go and get bid out and proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chair.
Anyone else? I hate to let you go, but I guess so.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon.
All right. Ms. Ginger Reeves, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think you have a copy of my report. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
I had one, but I forgot, so I'll let you go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
On the probate and stuff, if part of it's restricted, part of it's taxable, you don't do it on both all the tracks, do you?
We can, because if we're going to take it into district court to do their probate, we'll include
Okay.
all of it.
All right,
Yes.
that's the question I was asked. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Can I talk to you after it's over? Can I talk to you after you're over? Don't leave. No. Okay, thank you. All right. Environmental programs, Chad Harshaw.
Good afternoon. I believe you have a copy of the environmental programs report if there's any questions about that, and then I do have a couple other items I'd like to highlight into the longer report.
Anyone got any questions? Joe?
It's more of what's coming up. I'm sure you're probably aware in your staff, there's a couple of bills coming up, 5444 and 2907. Are you aware of those after the boarding school report one?
I'm not aware specifically by reference to those numbers. I know there's a lot of initiatives that are coming out of Department Interior, but I can certainly get with my staff and understand specifically with reference to these items.
What this is going to be is when you do the boarding school review and the surveys that they're doing now, they are going to request and have Congress use a request to get those schools, such as like where Tulsa was, Chilocco, and all the different boarding schools, to get the information because there's a background that shows what kids were there, when they left, and it has the records. So this is going to actually request all that information for boarding schools. But I want to make sure that you're on top of that with your staff because it's coming through. They're going to try to push it through and see if we get any pushback from Congress.
Sure, yeah, this is, certainly something that our Tribal Historic Preservation Office is monitoring pretty closely, but also in conjunction with government relations, that's the
Yeah.
primary point of contact on those matters. But folks in my department and the Tribal Historic Preservation Office, subject matter experts on some of that, so.
Yeah.
Appreciate you highlighting that.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Chad.
Anyone else? Mr. Critter?
Yes, sir. Just real quick, Chad, I'm still getting a few calls on the hunting license.
Okay.
Here's what I've been telling them. Now, make sure I've been telling them right. All right, go fishing in the 14 counties and have your blue card or your photo ID. And most game wardens are going to work with us and know what's going on. But if they happen to get a ticket, just say thank you and be courteous and just know that if you're going by the state laws, the good science that we're watching as far as how many you can get and catch and things. Aside from all that, if it's just fishing without a license, just say thank you, and it's going to come to our Cherokee Nation courts and get thrown out. Right?
Correct. So, the issue that the state has with, since the McGirt decision is that they can't enforce criminal jurisdiction. So it would be our tribal court, just like with all the other municipalities, where if a citation is issued or a crime is committed, it transfers over from the DA's office to the Cherokee Nation Tribal Court or another tribal court for another respective tribe. We have relationships ongoing with District Attorney's Office, and we have a process that, from what I understand, seems to be working well, and we do, in fact, have hunting and fishing violations that we do prosecute in our tribal court. So the assessment that you just laid out is accurate. That is not to say that there may not be an issue down the road where a game warden might be difficult. There is some pressure from the highest levels of the state to turn this what is not an issue right now into an issue. But we do, I would encourage you to reference our frequently asked questions that we have on the Cherokee Nation website, walks through all of these issues and what to do if you encounter some of that resistance.
Just a quick follow-up. From when I think about that, it's simple. Now, if you have a game warden that after he writes you that ticket that you know is going to get thrown out probably, what if will they make you leave? And if they catch you down the road a little ways, will they write you another one? And how in that instance, I know there's a lot of what ifs.
Yeah, hypothetically, I think that could happen. I would say if that is a situation that, if I were to find myself in, I would want to de-escalate that as best as I could. But at the end of the day, if there's a criminal citation of which the wildlife code is criminal in nature, the prosecutorial side of that would be transitioned over as per protocol with other counties and municipalities into tribal court.
You're talking if they really, really broke laws.
Right, well, even if a game warden were to issue a citation for a violation of state law, you know, the fact of the matter is, as we've seen in other instances of McGirt, you know, those all flow to the tribal court because the only court with jurisdiction over a Native American would be the tribal courts or the federal courts, but these wouldn't be cases that would arise to the level of major crimes.
Thank you, Chad.
And
Thank
again,
you, Chair.
our frequently asked questions kind of walks through a lot of these different issues, and up until now, you know, we have not had, or even now, we have not had much in the way of issues. We did wrap up turkey season at the end of May without any incidents of those kinds. We are staying vigilant and diligent in working with our local law enforcement game wardens to make sure that we're all communicating and getting ahead or in any issues that could arise as we get into the larger hunting season this fall.
Thank you. Just keep us updated on that, because the deer hunting folks, I mean, I've heard of people getting their guns and freezers and everybody, you know, everything taken and stuff. So keep us posted on some of those details. You know, I was talking in the past years, you know, we've all heard about that buddy who had something he shouldn't have in his freezer, and, you know, we're still gonna go by those laws, because that's the state, the good laws. We shouldn't be harvesting more than we should, but just, like I say, keep us posted, because in my neck of the woods anyway, they're asking.
Sure. And you know, we've adopted the conservation standards that we think are science-based and make sense, and we continue to enforce those. And I assure you, this is a priority, if not the most priority issue in my department, where we're continuing to work through this new world in a post-compact environment. And we are analyzing the legal framework and the political landscape on this issue on a daily basis. And if there's updates to be shared, we will most certainly get that out in advance of issues arising.
Appreciate your work, and the GRDA thing in Watts. How's that coming along?
It's moving along pretty nice. I haven't received an update in the past couple of months, but it's moving along. But it is a substantial project, as we saw when we took a tour of it. So it's going to be a little bit longer before it opens. But from what I understand,
When's their projected date to open?
I haven't heard the latest projection. I know there was some delay as a result of COVID and supply chain and contractors, but I can find out what track it's on and get back with you.
All right, thank you. Thank you,
Councilman Legg?
Hey, Chad, so, you know, a while back, we heard that, and I may be saying this wrong, that we weren't going to be allowed to do float down the Illinois because the Corps of Engineers was shutting down some of the spots but I know people are still floating. What's going on with that? Right
So
there?
on that particular issue, there was a disagreement between two state agencies, right? So GRDA and the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation. There are certain entry points on the Illinois River that are owned by the Department of Wildlife Conservation that were set aside, or an agreement was executed with GRDA to give them the authority to hold it open to the public, right, for public access. At that particular time, the issue was the Wildlife Department, some of their conservation folks were doing their routine patrol of the shoreline, and with their number one objective is to make sure there's access for anglers and the public to enjoy the state property. And there was quite a bit of congestion in some of these entry points that have been heavily utilized by commercial float operators. There was a little bit of tension there for a period of time. I know there was a public meeting that we attended on behalf of the Cherokee Nation to try to kind of gain perspectives of why we're here, what the issues are from each angle, and what the solutions are. And it's my understanding that, at least at this time, there's a workable solution that they're working towards. The float operators are still using them, but I think they've been asked to provide a certain degree of care and maybe let some of their private properties that they have open to the public to kind of offset the limitations in access. As far as I'm aware, I'm not aware of any issues that have been raised beyond that point. I know they started a small work group amongst the commercial operators and the two state agencies. I haven't heard anything negative about that process, but it appears to me that, at least at this point in time, there's something that's being worked out.
Okay. Well, Mr. Galson.
On the hunting and fishing license, Chad, are we any closer to, I know you had mentioned earlier, maybe with a compact with the other tribes, are we any closer that maybe that people that, I know in my district, it goes into the Creek Nation fairly quickly. Is there any agreement that we might reach with them, or has any of that been talked about yet?
So we've been socializing that concept amongst the 4 of the other 5 tribes. There was a tribal council, intertribal council resolution that was passed some months back that authorized the tribes to put together a work group, someone who has a legal knowledge, someone who has a programmatic knowledge from each tribe to kind of work through and talk through some of the intricacies of this. It's not just legal concepts, which we're working on together with the other tribes and outside counsel, but it's also practically how do you implement such a program. And so we have met with some of the legal team of the 5 tribes to walk through some of this, but there's no official agreement in place now, but it is something that we're moving along with. We're just doing so carefully.
Mr. Shambaugh.
Do we have an MOA with the Wildlife Department?
Cross-deputization agreement?
Yes.
We do.
How about GRDA?
We do.
Okay, thank you. Now, was that before McGirt or after?
I'm not exactly sure on the Wildlife Department. It may have been either right about the same time or after, but I think the GRDA one may have maybe a little bit longer standing.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick comment, Chad, I'd like to speak with you after this meeting.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, I know our buffaloes are really doing good, aren't they?
They are.
Every time I talk to Dale, I just feel real good about Dale Glory. Every time I talk to you, they're just doing so good and everything, so we got the right man there getting after it.
I agree.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Old business? All right, how about new business? All right, can I get a motion? Motion to adjourn? All right, we're adjourned.